Oh, yeah, baby. Get to it, do it. Let's rock and roll. It's WKR-Punk in Cincinnati. No, it's two Dynamite dudes on a Rampage. Episode 66, number Mario Lemieux, baby. And I'm here with my degenerate brother, none other than Marcus D'Angelo. Marcus, how are you? Welcome back to your show. It's been quite a while, has it not?
It has been a while. I'm glad that you acknowledge it's my show, Dominic. It makes sense. You know, I'm kind of the main event here. No, busy boy over here. But life's been good.
Degenerate, coward.
That's what I would. I don't know.
I'd probably use before. Busy, honestly.
I don't know that that's fair, Dominic.
Maybe shameful.
Possibly. No, everything's been good, man. I've just been really busy. Got new job situation going on, and life has been good, man. It's been a lot of fun. So yeah, let's jump into AEW Dynamite, Dominic, and some Rampage talk. Oh yes.
First, let's get a little bit. So you have not been on since probably the biggest wrestling show in years has occurred. AEW All Out. Did you want to give some initial thoughts to that before we continue?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I did not purchase the pay-per-view, unfortunately. I just flown back to Pittsburgh at that point, and I was working. So, no, I didn't get to watch the pay-per-view, but of course I heard about everything that happened, got to see some highlights. And man, let me tell you, it was that is something else. I mean, my goodness, the crowd reaction alone, let alone like the actual surprises themselves, just an unbelievable event, a landmark event in AEW history and in pro wrestling history. You know, like I mean, we were all expecting Daniel Bryan. I was not expecting Adam Cole that soon. I was not expecting Ruby Soho. So, man, like just what a night.
I'll say this too, and I probably said this on the Wednesday show, but I thought, okay, we were talking about like, okay, and me too, I said, hey, with Bryan Danielson, we got to be patient. Like the AEW can utilize Punk for this. Like I didn't really expect Cole or Bryan to maybe even show up at All Out. I mean, well, but minus the report counting. But ultimately, like the way they handled that was great. Like Adam Cole teases as a babyface, gets the pop, then just turns heel, and the night can end on a negative. Still big news. But then everybody goes home happy when Bryan Danielson comes out and kicks the shit out of everybody. And so it doesn't take away from either debut. That's what's great about it.
I completely agree. And it's a nice little swerve, too, where it's like, okay, everybody knows Bryan Danielson is coming out. And then Adam Cole comes out and they're like, holy shit, that's a surprise. But does this mean that we're not getting Bryan Danielson? And then, of course, the finish is Bryan Danielson. So, no, I mean, it went off without a hitch. Dominic, we gotta read some of Cena. Miss Cena lover, of course. Nice to see you again,
Nesha.
Nesha.
Marcus, yeah.
No, I know. Nice to have you join us here, Nesha.
He's in Facebook jail.
Balagun, what's up, man? You missed us. It has been a while. We missed you too, man. I missed being on the show. Really appreciate all the support here. Nesha, Facebook jail. What did you do? Dominic, do you want to jump into the event or do you want to touch on All Out a little bit more? Feels like old news at this point, right? Let's move on. I'm about the future, Dom.
Yeah, I know you are. Jericho and MJF. Give me your thoughts on that, though.
As far as All Out?
As far as, the story played out, how it went, and just moving forward, was it okay how it all unfolded, basically, is what I'm saying.
Well, you know, they threw that stipulation in there for Jericho to retire if he didn't win. So it kind of, super unprofessional. Incredibly unprofessional. But they threw that in there, and so that was sort of, to me, a clue that Jericho was going to go over in the match. So, like, that's fine that Jericho is going to go over, but to me, there should be one more match without that stipulation where MJF ultimately gets the better of him in the end. And it seems like they're not doing that. They've moved off the feud now. Looks like MJF is moving on, I guess, currently to Brian Pillman Jr., which is great, which
Plenty
I love.
to talk about there, that's for sure.
I think it's great. I love Brian Pillman Jr. I think he's a great talent. I love MJF. I think he's a great talent. But MJF clearly he's going to go over. He needs to get a big win back. So that's the clear direction they're moving in here.
I agree with that. Like we'll talk about. We'll go into Brian. We'll go into Brian Pillman Jr. in a little bit more detail a little bit later on, I guess. But Mark, okay, so obviously you haven't been here in a few weeks. I think it just makes sense for you for me to bestow upon you the hosting duties. So you take the reins. I just wanted to get a few of the All Out stuff out of the way since you have not been here since. So
yeah, of course. So yeah, Dom, let's just jump right into the Dynamite program here. What were your thoughts on what I think is becoming one of the better feuds in professional wrestling? Let's talk about the ongoing feud between the Nightmare family and Malachi Black.
Boy, I tell you what, I like it. I like it a lot. Like, in Malachi Black just kind of taking out one by one the Nightmare family, and the mind games I really think is very cool that he's been playing. So, with Jody Lee, he presented him the chair to hit him in the chair with, and then he doesn't let him hit him with the chair. So nobody knows what Lee Johnston was going to do. Was he going to corrupt Lee Johnston? Then obviously with Arn, I thought that told a great story. Arn and Brock, where he just destroys Brock, and then Arn, manages to block a black mass, which you never see. The Enforcer does that, and then he gets low blowed and taken out, and now we have Dustin, the latest, who puts up the biggest competitive match against Malachi Black out of anybody yet. And goes back and forth with them. They tell the story of Malachi working his leg and then exposing the turnbuckle and then nailing him with the black mass and not fully connecting, but nailing him nonetheless and getting the win. So, and that not only that, but presenting Cody's boot into the match to kind of get in the head of Dustin. So, yeah, I think, they're really putting all cylinders behind Malachi, and that's the way they should be doing it. And you can tell he's relishing in this opportunity to kind of show what he's really capable of as not just a in-ring worker, but a performer that has his own identity and creative aspects that he can deliver to the product. So yeah, I'm loving it, man.
Yeah. Steven Chambers, Kevin Davis. What's up, guys? Thanks for joining us. So I really like the fact that Malachi Black is by himself. I don't want shoddy Lee Johnson to join forces with him. I don't want anybody to join forces.
No, I agree.
He needs to be this frightening solo entity at all times, much like The Undertaker.
Yes.
So yeah, let's stay the course there. As far as the match itself, a couple chemistry issues here and there, but really the story was that Malachi Black is coming up against a wily veteran who kind of gives him a run for his money. And it makes sense. Like a veteran like Dustin Rhodes probably should give him initially a harder time than his younger brother Cody Rhodes. Dustin's got way more experience, so he knows some of the ins and outs of the ring, and he can take advantage of them and take advantage of Black's mistakes better. So to me, that makes a lot of sense. I just like the feud. I think it's a cool idea where it's just basically like he took out Cody. We haven't seen him since. And now he's just slowly picking apart the entire Nightmare family, which I just think is cool. And now Cody's going to come back on a white horse and should get the win in theory.
Should he, though?
I think so. I mean, I've seen the argument otherwise online, but, here's the thing is Cody Rhodes is the main babyface in the company. And this was kind of like the formula back in the day. Now, granted, the formula used to take a little bit longer. I'm talking about over the course of, 3 or 4 months. But I still think that it would be fine for Cody to come in and beat him. And then, maybe we can move off of this and get Cody involved in a feud with somebody like MJF. Let's bring that back around.
I don't know if I'd be ready for that. I would kind of be all right with Cody winning, I think, at Grand Slam at Arthur Ashe. But because then you could have a rubber match. But then ultimately, I really want Malachi, I think, to win the feud, to be honest. Like,
Yeah, I mean, like probably Cody should win, but maybe Malachi kind of still manages to one up him somehow. I don't know. I haven't really given it a ton of thought, but I mean, Cody's got to win, but Malachi's got to remain strong. That's really kind of the formula. It reminds me a little bit, and I know that Malachi Black is constantly compared to The Undertaker, but it kind of reminds me a little bit about The Undertaker coming in. He starts hot, beats Hulk Hogan for the title, and then Hulk Hogan gets his revenge at like Tuesday at Texas or whatever the event was. So like it didn't take long for Hogan to regain his, get his heat back, brother, but or whatever the statement is. But I think that you could kind of use that same formula. It didn't hurt the Undertaker ultimately, did it?
No, it didn't. It didn't. No, I agree. That's a fair point. I'm.
Hey, P Diddy. Sorry, P Diddy 80 makes a good point.
Yeah.
What if they're both passed out and Cody lands on him?
That's not bad. I like that.
Not bad.
I like that. Like Malachi kicks him or something.
It should also be like Cody's in peril, and
yes.
maybe there's a distraction situation, and Cody takes advantage of it.
Yeah, I agree with that. What's Nesha mean here by you said you had to watch it today?
I don't know.
Me. Yeah, she meant. I'm sorry. She's probably referring to. She's referring to the Andrade and Pac match because I had to watch that today.
I just watched that today as well.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Do you want to talk about it now, or do we want to go through Dynamite first?
I don't know that we need to like go match by match breakdown. Really, we should just be hitting the highlights of both programs.
I know. I'm just trying to think what makes more sense from. I guess.
I mean, look, I don't have a ton of talking points when it comes to Pac and Andrade.
Okay, let's hit it then. Let's hit it. I got a couple.
Yeah, we can bounce around a little bit. I mean, when it comes to that match, not sure why it didn't go down. I guess there was a travel issue is for All Out. But, we kind of saw what was always meant to happen. Andrade should go over. He's new to the company. We've barely seen him. And he's got star potential. He's got star written all over him. So yeah, they did the right thing. I'm glad to see Andrade get the win. Not sure what happened there with Chavo at the end.
Yeah.
But what was it?
Boy, I don't know, because he did a heelish thing, and Andrade took exception to that heelish thing and took Chavo out, and then Chavo just got his ass kicked by everybody.
So it doesn't make any sense.
Well,
are we turning Andrade babyface already?
That's what I'm kind of wondering. Are we going babyface with Andrade? Are we rerouting him, or does this open the door for another mouthpiece for Andrade? And would make that make sense?
Yeah, well, it looks like Steven may have just hit the nail on the head. Dominic, what do you think?
Let's see what Steven says, because yes, that's where I was getting at too. Does this open the door?
So starts with Vicky Guerrero. Moves on to Chavo Guerrero, and in theory, he moves on to the GOAT. Let's say that happens.
Sure.
How many? He's clearly got an issue with managers. What's going on?
Well, he won't have one with Flair because Flair's the GOAT, baby. You know what I mean?
Are we just firing Chavo? Is Chavo out of a job?
I think I think Chavo might switch to somebody different. I would just off the top of my head, somebody I'd like to see him get paired up with would be like Diamante, or oh my gosh, she's another one that would be pretty darn cool. I'm trying to think of heelish people that would fit very well with him. I don't know. Do you have any other ideas that Chavo would kind of line up with?
Thunder Rosa.
Well, she's a baby face. I wouldn't make him from what he did, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, and she's a really good talker.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he could jump in with the Lucha Bros and their manager guy.
I really like Alex though. I
like him too. Maybe they could join forces.
I don't know.
I think Chavo has a lot of.
He does. I don't want to see him go away. I absolutely don't want to see him go away. I want to see him be a viable part of the product, no doubt. Let's see. Oh, Marcus, you're getting a little rub in here. How about Robert's hometown Tampa Bay Buccaneers? They beat Dallas.
That's not cool. That's not cool. Dominic P. Diddy is saying it wouldn't make sense because Flair is going to cheat also. Flair is going to cheat, but he'll never be a heel anywhere he goes ever again.
Because the dirtiest player in the game, baby.
He's Ric Flair. So yeah, he's allowed to cheat and still be a babyface. So yeah, that's kind of where the catch is.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Michael Campbell, what if Charlotte goes to AEW after her contract is up with WWE? We'll probably throw a ton of money at her. I personally don't think AEW can afford her because should be asking for way too much money. So maybe so, but I think that a factor is going to be quality of life. Maybe less travel days. She gets to be with her fiance. In all likelihood, will get to be with her dad.
Creative freedom, more creative freedom.
Yes, exactly. But again, this is a problem that you and I talk about relatively often. We are really, really filling up that roster.
Yes.
So when's the last time you saw Joey Janela on TV?
Well, he was on the dark tapings.
Okay, so that's cool, and I guess that's going to be like a loophole where these guys can all be on dark. But when it comes to your money shows, I don't know. I am starting to sense a brand split situation, and I'm not crazy about that idea.
No, I don't think that's going to happen. I think
what else are they going to do? They're bumping into the same issue.
It's going to be certainly you're going to have your stars that are going to be fluid throughout each product, but you're going to have your mainstays on certain shows, specifically with the studio taping. So you're going to have, the up and comers or the lower card guys working on those shows, and some established talent too. Because I don't know if you saw any of the news today, Marcus, but it was first set of studio tapings in Orlando, Florida at Universal Studios. Did you see any of that?
I had heard about it.
Okay.
So is it NXT or who is it? No, it's
AEW. That's right. Where dark, and I think eventually Elevation's going to be. Elevation was taped in Cincinnati, obviously this week, but I think Elevation's making that switch over too. So, but you had established talent mixed in with lower card talent, and then you had some independent talent that are there making their first appearances. So recent release stars from WWE, Anthony Green and Stallion Rogers, I think he's going by, but he was known as Kurt Stallion before. They tagged up, and then you had Ali Catch, formerly known as Ali Cat, taking on Big Swole in singles action. And then that was the first set of tapings. And then later on, they did a second set of tapings that I'm not aware of yet. I don't know any of the details behind those yet. Because I was, like I said, I was watching Rampage and doing that kind of stuff and getting stuff set up for this show. So I didn't get to see what the second set of tapings are. But so, Marcus, you have those outlets that you can use, and that presents a different setting, a very different setting than what you see with a big live crowd too. So studio wrestling back, baby. But also, again, I think it's going to be, I don't think we're going to see a brand split. I just don't think that makes zero sense, especially when you consider, 2 hours you get with Dynamite. No, 2 hours you get with Dynamite, 1 hour you get with Rampage. Let's say you get 1 hour each with Elevation and Dark. So that's 5 hours total a week. Doesn't make sense to have a brand split.
Yeah, I hope not. I don't want to see it. But the more talent you add, the more variables you add, as far as people shuffling. So I don't know. I'm excited because it's. As a wrestling fan, we're being treated right now. There seems to be a new debut once a week or once a month at the very least. So it's been really cool. Dom Steven Chambers has made a point here, and I want to talk about it real quick. He says, I don't see Soho beating Baker. I believe we may see a Thunder Rosa heel turn. Chavo could manage her. So his idea being essentially that maybe Soho would have Britt in peril, and then Thunder Rosa would come out and cause her to lose. So on paper, sounds like a good idea. I hope they don't do it. And the reason is there's actually two reasons. One reason is because in theory, then Soho would then go into a feud with Thunder Rosa, and Soho has to come out as the winner in that feud because she's new. And I think Thunder Rosa is too valuable to have people going over her very often. I think that she needs to look like an unstoppable force. So I don't like that. But then also I don't like it because Thunder Rosa has this blood feud with Britt Baker, and I don't want to see her doing anything to help Britt Baker win ever. So I see his point. I just hope that they don't take that route.
I agree. It might be a little bit of my bias with Thunder Rosa because we like her so much, but I also feel that yeah, there's just a lot of meat on the bone when it comes to like what Thunder Rosa can present as a babyface, a top babyface, and along with Ruby Soho. And you kind of think about that too. You have Ty Conte, who's a good babyface. You have Anna Jay, who's good at babyface. But like, I think you really need some really good baby faces because you have some good heels brewing here with Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter. You can really cultivate a heel. It's evident with Red Velvet. And you can just kind of get more talent like that pushed in that direction. So, and plus you have Nyla Rose too. So no, I see what he's getting at, but I'm kind of with you too, Marcus. I don't feel Thunder Rosa it would benefit Thunder Rosa, Britt Baker, or anybody to have Thunder Rosa turn heel. But I'm not against Ruby Soho beating Britt Baker for the title this soon. I'm not, because Britt Baker's a heel. She's very Teflon right now. I know you're trying to establish her like as one of your top stars, but heck, her ability to get herself over is very evident. So if she loses to Ruby, she can get right back into the mix of not only just the title picture, but you can get her mixed up with feuds with some of the younger talent and still get her over, get that whole act over of Hayter and all that, and kind of get things moving in that regard. So I'm not against really Britt losing to Soho in their first title matchup.
I think it's too soon. I think Britt Baker's red hot, and you gotta ride that. Now, what I would like to see happen possibly is rather than have Thunder Rosa come out and do some kind of an interference, what if you have the NWA Women's Champ come out and do it?
Camille,
yeah. And then now Ruby Soho is going after that NWA Women's title. I think it could be a fun way to go. Messina lover Nesha saying the shout outs are starting early. Thunder Rosa is a friend of the show. I've been on the show before. Really nice person. And that aside, though, incredible performer, great wrestler. I've said it before. I'll say it again for anybody who hasn't been in this chat in the past. I see Stone Cold level potential in Thunder Rosa, potential marketability. I truly do. I think that she could be the top baby face, not just in women's wrestling, but in wrestling. I think she's incredible.
Yeah, and Jason here says it too. I'd rather see Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker. I think that's what we're going to play to. But like, I don't think the title needs to be in that picture either at this juncture. So
I hope it is. So I want Britt Baker to have a nice long run, and I want to see Thunder Rosa slowly working her way back toward her, and then let's have a first blood match because it ties into what they're doing.
I would like to see the thrill of the chase is what I like. I think Thunder Rosa would be perfect in that role as like the Dusty Rhodes thrill of the chase person, and you have Ruby Soho with the title and going on another extended run, not to the length of Hikaru Shida, but kind of in that realm where it's like a lengthy run and she goes up against other talents and stuff like that. I think there's nothing wrong with that. And then eventually, like, she can maybe get, like, Britt gets her win back at some point, and then you have Thunder Rosa finally get her shot and unseat Britt. I think there's nothing wrong with that too. Yeah, it's a matter of Kate Hensler from Fightful was on the show 2 weeks ago. She pretty much Wally pipped Marcus. So
where is she now, though, Dom?
She's on Fightful, baby. That's what we have for the guests.
Honestly, I got to see some of what you guys did. I thought she was awesome. So yeah, we'll have to welcome her back at some point.
Sure. But for sure, I think. But she makes the point too. Is like the women on AEW are just a small segment. It seems still, and I think that's kind of an issue too, where it's like you want to get those female talents over and stuff like that. And giving them a little extra time, whether that's in segments like on the mic or in the ring, I think it's a pretty needed option for AEW to kind of utilize and incorporate a little bit more, because their first issue was, hey, they don't have enough talent. Now they have the talent. Let's make the most of that talent.
And to me, the recipe there, and it's something we've talked about in the past, is I know that too many belts water down a promotion, but I would love to see a intergender tag team title where it's like cool. You have to have one man, one woman on the team, and let's see who the best combo is.
Either intergender. Well, they have that set up too. It's a good point. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. I was just saying I think it could be a lot of fun.
It could be cool, and that or you like Marcus. I've said this on Twitter. Like we talk about it too. Okay, you don't need too many. You want to be selective with your titles, but what you could get away with here is maybe what you mentioned, an intergender title or a women's tag title, one or the other of that. But then you have a cruiserweight title, 1 count cruiserweight title, and then you could do a trios title. Now maybe that could be intergender. Now that'd be kind of cool too. So
yeah, Nesh is saying 6-man tag.
6-man tag.
I don't know if I'm crazy about that idea. I think I'd rather have the intergender.
It's a World Class Championship Wrestling thing that they did, and so there is some history to having of the 6-man tags. I'm not against it. There's a lot of factions, so if you're going to have a lot of factions and you're going to have a lot of partnerships that add up more than 2, then I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. I think an intergender 6-man tag would be pretty darn cool.
Let's hammer on though, Dominic.
Yeah. And before we do though, Steven Chambers says Deonna Purrazzo too, and she would be awesome now. So I agree with that too, Steven.
Yeah, sure.
Cool. So,
well, actually, Dom, this kind of ties into what we were just talking about. You had mentioned the possibility of a cruiserweight title there, and somebody who I think would be a good inaugural champion is Dante Martin. He squared off against Powerhouse Hobbs. Awesome match. Love seeing. I every time I see Powerhouse Hobbs, I'm like, this dude is money.
Yes.
Like, no question about it. Big dude. And he works like a big dude. Like he just flattened him throughout the match. Dante Martin managed to do his like Rey Mysterio-esque comeback, which was cool. And I mean, it was a really entertaining match. And Powerhouse Hobbs came out looking strong. And it's looking like he and CM Punk, who's in the segment before, are going to start a feud. And man, like, what a perfect opponent for CM Punk. Now, I think the Powerhouse Hobbs, it's not going to hurt him to lose at this point, especially because he's still so young. But it's almost like he's like this young Brock Lesnar, like this Brock Lesnar who's just not quite polished enough yet. You know what I mean? And it's so he can lose to CM Punk, which clearly he will.
Okay. Well,
but he's so big he could put Punk in peril.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, I'm with you. And Marcus, that was like such a standout to me in that match, was like just the little moment of like, I don't know if you recognized it, but Hobbs was outside of the ring and he like looks to like the crowd and he's like, CM Punk, huh? He's like, fuck that. Like that kind of thing. I thought that was such a great moment. And like,
hang on, one of the best spots of the match was the suicide dive where he caught Dante Martin and then like slammed him against the posts. Like this dude is a killer and it's awesome. It's so fun to watch.
And his look is so good. Like it's like his new outfit. It's like Bam Bam Bigelow mixed with Taz kind of thing. And like just the look, and him and Hook together, I think is a great 1-2, like kind of like ne'er-do-well youngster punch where they're just like these guys. These motherfuckers right here, like they're gonna get you, like they're up to no good. That's what it feels like. And so
I love like the smug look on Hook's face too when he got up on the apron. Yeah, yes, I think he's money.
Yeah,
Tony Khan has done a great job of procuring unknown talent, and man, it's been fun to watch. But that was one of the matches of the night to me.
Yeah, I agree with you. And well, let's talk about it then too. Is that Punk getting in the mix with Team Taz? That promo was great. I liked, how matter of fact he was, but also like just the references he made to like Brian Pillman Jr.'s family at ringside, putting them over. Who else he put over? He put over somebody like unexpected during the opening part of that promo. Do you know who it?
I don't recall.
You know what I'm talking about though, right? Maybe the chat can help us out here.
I may have missed it.
There was somebody else he put over that wasn't like necessarily connected to the segment itself, but it was pretty darn cool.
Who remembers out there on the internet?
Oh, this is what he did. He put over Moxley and Minoru Suzuki later on. That's what he did. So that was pretty cool. And then how about Taz like interrupting him? And he's like, sorry. And then Punk's like, what the fuck are you doing? And he's like, I'll let you talk because I respect you, but never do that shit again. And then Taz gets pissed off at him for saying that. And then he's just like, I want you to keep my Team Taz's names out of your mouth. And like, just them going back and forth, like not expecting. Okay, for all the promo interactions that we were anticipating, like Punk, MJF, Punking going against like even Moxley or somebody that's great on the mic, or the Bucks or Kenny. Like, we're talking about all these guys. I didn't even think about Taz and how great Taz would be with the dynamic. And here we get it right off the bat. Like, Punk's like freshest feud here, and it's like money. It's so money. Like, you get the anticipation of Hobbs, Starks, and like, where else is this gonna go exactly? So yeah, man, it was great stuff. And then the closing line Punk did, like, just turning Taz's infamous catchphrase on its head and like like doing it. That really, really good shit, man.
Strong segments, but back-to-back strong segments. And yeah, I mean, it's fun to watch. And you honestly, I mean, at least me, I was like, oh, okay, he's gonna go after Kenny Omega, or like he's gonna go after the Bucks or whoever. And here now we're getting a complete curveball where it's like Team Taz, and it's like, man, this is a welcome curveball though, because like we all know that Punk is eventually going to be AEW champion. He's too big of a star to not put that belt on. However, let's slowly build to it. Let's build the anticipation until finally we can't stop it anymore. Kenny Omega has to climb in the ring with CM Punk.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with it. Like, just build that up, or and I don't know if we can talk about this next, I guess, is Bryan Danielson immediately thrown in the title picture.
Last time I checked, Dom, you weren't the host, but I guess we could probably I'm just playing. No, that's fine. Yeah, let's talk about it. Yeah, what's wrong with it? I think it's perfectly fine. Who is he coming up against here soon? Oh, is it Kenny Omega? Yeah, I guess it is, isn't it? I'm sorry. I'm getting thrown so much content running through my head over the past couple weeks. But yes, so he is coming up against Kenny. I mean, I guess he's got to win, right?
That's what I would think, right?
Here's the thing, and it's like, I get it. I mean, we know that this is going to be a barn burner of a match. It's going to be crazy, crazy entertaining. However, I think it presents an issue in that, like, on paper, like, if this whole thing's a shoot, some dude just coming in the door has not really earned a title shot yet, and now all of a sudden it's like, hey, you get a title shot, but you don't like Kenny Omega, he doesn't like you, title shot. But I guess that's wrestling, so it makes sense in that realm.
And heck, Bryan Danielson has the background that, okay, like, this guy is worthy of a title shot. It'd be like let's see, I'm just throwing this out as like, okay, it'd be like Conor McGregor if he's in Bellator, and then he goes for some reason he's a Bellator, he goes to Bellator, and then he's like back in UFC, and he's like, hey, I want to fight,
yeah, I guess he would get the fight, would he not?
Yeah, somebody, where it's just like, okay, the fight's, I want to fight like Nick Diaz or whoever, and just be like, all right, well, there it is. You know what I mean? So it's like, he's not really vaulting ahead of anybody, but he's just there. Like, he was already there, basically. So
Jason Michael Campbell got heat with Bryan Danielson. Crying Danielson doesn't like him. I don't know what's not to like. He's kind of like the modern day Bret Hart. He's like a Bret Hart hybrid, where like he's got all the technical skills.
What is he crying about, Jason?
But then it just rhymes, Dom. Let the guy have his day in the sun over there. But I don't know what's not to like about Bryan Danielson. Great technician, but he also he's able to do some of the fun high flying stuff. So I think he's a boatload of fun. But I don't know. I guess more than anything, Dominic, I think it's problematic to have him with Kenny Omega, because it's kind of like shooting your whole wad right away, right? You just
is it though? Because Kenny's had the title forever, and why not like put him in a hot spot if he is a top star, which he is a top star? Like, just put him there. I don't think that's an issue. I think there's a little. I don't get why like Kenny holding on to the title is that much different, or like would like mean more for him to hold on to the title than just giving it to Danielson right off the bat. Like, you don't want him to lose, so why? I don't know, Mark. I would just see there's more.
So here's the thing: Kenny's your quote unquote homegrown talent, been there since the start of AEW. I want to see Kenny like continue to like build himself at least for like another couple months, and then let's get into that feud. So I'm hoping that what's going to happen is a slow burn where Danielson, yes, he's made it clear that he does not like Kenny Omega, but okay, if you want to get at Omega, you got to get through his squad first. So how about singles matches with the Bucks? How about singles matches with the Good Brothers? How about a singles match with Adam Cole, which could be fun.
That would be
and then you get to come after Kenny Omega. So I'm hoping that they go that route. Low key heat with Jason Michael Campbell right now.
Yeah,
Do not mention him in the same sentence.
You're not even. Here's the thing, Jason. You're not even giving a reason. We need a reason. What's your issue with Bryan Danielson?
Dominic has a point there. I'm not saying you're wrong. Everybody's entitled to their opinion.
I'm saying you're wrong, Jason.
So, oh my God,
you're wrong,
Dominic. Everybody's supposed to have an opinion. Come on now. That's what makes the world go around, Dom. Opinion.
I can say you're wrong. That's my opinion. Is that he's wrong, right?
Okay, fair enough. But no, in any case, I'm hoping that's the route they take. I just I don't know. I want to eat the candy. But let's have a little build up to the candy.
I can get behind that a little bit now, but maybe somehow he gets done dirty, and that's just like how it goes. Like Adam Cole fucks him over, and then you got Adam Cole and him, or like somebody in the group. One of the Bucks, like Nick, because he really took it to Nick Jackson when All Out happened. He started kicking. Who did he immediately kick was Nick Jackson. He was kicking the shit on Nick Jackson. So how about Nick Jackson's nose ring to the ear? How about that?
I love it. Very, very Crush Nation of Domination.
Yes. I was like, where have I seen that before? You're right. Our fucking Jax action figure had that.
Yes. No, it's. I think it's great, and his stupid man onesie is it goes well with his whole thing too. So no, I'm satisfied with what the Bucks have been doing recently.
Yeah, it's been pretty darn good.
Nesha wants to see Kaz versus Kenny. So it's kind of I don't know. I'm sure we should get it because he's the elite hunter. So maybe that could be the next pay-per-view. But sounds like Kaz is going to do the job for Adam Cole here.
Yeah, I want to see Kaz keep his heat. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I don't want to see. I hope he doesn't lose clean. I hope he loses by underhanded means. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, I think that should be a big part because I really like Frankie Kazarian and just the elite hunter gimmick. I think they can really just do more with it. I hope they kind of do, where it's maybe him and Danielson align and just take out the elite one by one and kind of vibes in tune with what you were saying, where Bryan Danielson has to work his way through the elite to get to Kenny eventually, and maybe Frankie Kazarian can be one of his strong allies going forward.
So Dom, let's move on. Do you want to talk about MJF and Brian Pillman Jr., or do you prefer to talk about the FTR and Sean Spears taking on the Dark Order?
Let's start with the Dark Order being a little fractured still. How about that?
Let it rip, Dom. Go ahead. What are your thoughts on the Dark Order looking like they're headed for a breakup, which honestly, it might be time.
I don't think that's what's happening. I think there's just tension, and JR hinted at it, and so did Taz on commentary, was that they don't have a leader. So what are they going to probably get as a leader? And I don't think this is going to be a heel turn. I think, the fact that Uno and Stu Grayson immediately started attacking some of the members is an indication that that's not going to happen, that they're not going to break up. And I feel I think the report was the speculation, I will say, the speculative report by Dave Meltzer in the latest Observer was that there hasn't been really too much talks, I think, between William Rotunda in AEW, or there hasn't been anything official, but the plan would be to bring him in. What date is it? A certain date. It might be Arthur Ashe. Might be later on, though. I can't remember. No. It's in Rochester where Brody Lee, is from. So there is that in the mix. I just think, honestly, from an appropriate and still paying honor to Brody Lee's legacy standpoint, I think Bray is the perfect fit for the leader of the Dark Order. I really do.
So as we were having this discussion, I'm seeing where Jason Michael Campbell said, "I sure hope not. I want to see Bray Wyatt as the new leader of the Dark Order." So it sort of sunk in whenever I read Jason's. Jason, look at you! You hate Bryan Danielson, but here you redeem yourself, because now I'm starting to see what's going on here. I don't think it's any irony that the Bray Wyatt thing is looking like it's happening, and now the Dark Order is beginning to have issues, because Dominic, now the Dark Order needs a leader. They need somebody to point them in the right direction. And who better than great personal friend of Mr. Brody Lee, rest in peace, than Mr. Rotunda.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And I do agree. I think, and like I said, JR hinted at that during the match, and so did Taz. Taz followed up and agreed with him, I think. So, yeah, I just think it really makes sense, and I don't think it's doing any injustice too. You know what I mean? I think it's furthering Brody's legacy and bringing somebody like that in, who's not only a veteran, like Bray Wyatt knows his shit, and he's wrestling. He's wrestling legacy, like his family is there, lineage. So to have him kind of further carry the torch for Brody as well and bring a new dynamic to the Dark Order, I think it's perfect for what, considering the circumstances.
Yeah, well, I think that if Bray Wyatt is going to come in and become the leader of the Dark Order, then they need a facelift. They can't be the same silly, goofy Dark Order.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, so that's going to be the real crux
more intense, less goofy. There can be some humor, but like it's always gotta. The end game always has to be intensity. You know what I mean? It can't be. You can add some person, because Bray Wyatt can be funny. Like we've seen him as the Firefly Funhouse and adding humor. If you blend that into a certain regards where it's like, okay, that feels natural and that feels like organic between all these guys because they have chemistry and they're friends. But then when push comes to shove, when it's not cutting time, they're kicking some ass. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And Dominic, what about bringing in Bo? Bo Dallas is a member of the Dark Order. Who just said that? There it is.
Yeah. Nesha. Nesha did.
Good idea, Nesha.
I think it is a good idea, but down the road, because Marcus, again, it plays into the fact what we've been always talking about is so many people. Like, and you already have a lot of people you got to worry about in the Dark Order. So I think that's kind of an issue too. If you weren't bringing Bray in as the leader of Dark Order, I would not necessarily be against him tagging with Bo starting off. But if he's the leader of the Dark Order, maybe wait on Bo. I would like to see Bo in the mix, but like wait about it. Wait, you got time. So that's kind of how I feel about that. Marcus, what about Hangman saving the Dark Order? Because that could be a possibility too.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that. So look, Hangman and Bray Wyatt, I think would be a really fun feud. It would be a great first feud for Bray Wyatt. Unbelievably entertaining. I think those two could really bring the best out of each other. So like maybe a little like deception, smoke and mirrors, where it's like the Hangman comes back, makes his return, and kind of like pulls the Dark Order back together and says like, no guys, I'm with you. Like we need some structure. Let's get together. Let's make it happen. And then bam, they all turn on him. Join Bray.
I kind of like that. Or there's like maybe they do. There is a fracture and like the lines are drawn and you almost have NWO Hollywood and NWO Wolfpack where it's like you have a more intense.
Hate that. Hate that idea.
You hate it? Well, I mean, obviously, like NWO Wolfpack in Hollywood is not.
We don't need to see a split on the Dark Order, Order white, Dark Order black, or whatever.
But just you have like Silver and Reynolds kind of align with Hangman, and then you have like Evil Uno, Stu Grayson pick a side with Bray Wyatt, and then you have the tension between Ten and Colt. They're kind of in the middle ground somewhere or something, and I think that you could really make a very good storyline off of that. More clever than obviously where the Wolfpack in Hollywood went. So
here's the deal: is I think that maybe some of the guys would then leave the Dark Order because they don't agree with what's happening to Hangman Page. A guy like John Silver comes to mind for sure because I think that he's got a singles run in him coming up. But I think that those who stay with Bray Wyatt, they need a change.
Yes.
And I'm not just talking like a change in personality. I'm talking like let's change up gimmicks. Like let's make them different people essentially. Where Bray Wyatt has come in and like poisoned the well with these guys and made them like evil. I can
get behind that. I can get behind
that.
And like you can have a really good feud with Hangman.
Yeah.
In that regard. Muhammad here says, I don't think Bray will fit as Dark Order leader. Maybe Hangman returns and they ask him to be the leader. Yeah, I mean,
I'm having a hard time thinking of who would fit better. Really,
I honestly, I mean, like yeah, you could kind of do it. I would much rather see Bray do it. I think, just because it just really does make a lot of sense, and you can still have Hangman. I kind of like the division thing. I'm kind of getting like, I never really considered that till we just started talking about it, and now I'm kind of like more and more behind that, I think, than anything else.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I think we're starting to see what's going on. Like, so some of the stuff that kind of makes you scratch your head a little bit, like, why are they doing that? Andrade's was our first example. It's like, why is he beating up Chavo? Chavo just came in and helped him. Now that's kind of starting to make sense, and certainly now this Dark Order thing is really sunk in for me during this conversation, where it's like, that has to be what's going on because of the timing. And because of the Brody Lee connection. I mean, I'm sure you guys all remember when Brody Lee passed away. Rest in peace, by the way, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, and it's a horrible shame. But I remember that that Bray Wyatt commented, and he was heartbroken, devastated, and I think that Bray Wyatt would probably love to have the opportunity to honor his memory by taking over the role that he had in AEW.
Absolutely. He's not taking away from it. He's adding to it.
Absolutely, making some and enhancing something that his friend started. So I think it could be really cool. Hey, look, hate to hit the bummer train here, but I didn't get to comment on this. Really bummed out about the passing of Daphne, an incredible performer. I was really saddened to hear that. I've been a huge fan of hers for years. I thought she brought a lot to the table. So rest in peace. Gone way too soon.
Mark, yeah, I haven't gotten to mention it either, or I didn't mention it on the past shows, but yeah, it's like I remember, like, being in Chicago, like when that news broke, and just feeling there's just that cloud of sadness kind of overhanging, the wrestling world, and it just a tragic thing, and such a sweet soul that you could see that a lot of people loved what she, who she was as a person and everything like that. It's really, really sad. And such a, you look back at her too, and before her time, she was somebody before her time, like that, today she would be such a star.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. She was awesome. As you said, ahead of her time for sure. And she just an incredible look. A really convincing performer, and seems like just an unbelievably sweet, kind person. So I was really saddened to hear it. I was actually getting ready to board the plane when I wasn't even aware of this. I've kind of been I haven't really been on my personal Twitter, been working a lot. And so I was getting ready to board the plane, and I was messing around on Twitter, and I was like, wait, Daphne, what's going on with her? I saw where people were trying to reach out to her and stuff. And so it gave me anxiety, because I'm like, oh, she's such a wonderful person. I really hope that she's okay. So rest in peace. Really an awesome performer, even better person based on all the things I've heard.
Do you remember some people kind of pan this angle, but I really enjoyed in TNA when it was Dr. Seavey and Nurse Daphne. I like that tandem a lot. Yeah,
I thought they were great together, played off each other well. I've never seen Daphne do anything bad in wrestling. I don't remember any bad gimmicks that she was in. And every time they gave her the ball, she ran with it, performed perfectly. So a huge loss to the wrestling world.
Huge loss. Yeah, very. Yeah, she reminds you of Harley Quinn. That's what was great about her too.
Yep.
Yeah. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. So Dominic, what else do you
wanted to jump into MJF and Pillman?
Yeah, we can talk about that.
Let's do this first, Mark, because it was mentioned here in the chat. Steven says, do you guys really see Kevin Owens or Sami Zayn in AEW? Money's going to run out eventually. Marcus, did you hear about all this news with Kevin Owens and the potential of Sami Zayn too as well?
I've heard about Kevin Owens. I haven't heard any buzz surrounding Sami Zayn.
So the talk of Zayn is that his contract may be up this fall with WWE. Then I've heard some conflicting things that maybe that's not necessarily true. Now, as far as Kevin Owens is concerned, it very much appears, according to Fightful, that his contract is up in January. And Kevin Owens on Twitter posted the coordinates of Mount Rushmore, which is the faction he was a part of with PWG, being with the Young Bucks And oh my gosh, who was the fourth one? Help me out here, chat. There was one. Who was the fourth member? Somebody in the Elite was there. Was it Kenny? I think it was Kenny. Nah, maybe it wasn't Kenny. I can't remember who was the fourth person of Mount Rushmore in there. You had
Cole?
the Bucks. Yes, Cole. Thank you. It was Adam Cole.
I got it from Nesha.
Okay, so that like then he deleted that tweet, and then I think his location was like almost there. So Kevin Owens is, I think, AEW bound, and that's another name that you cannot pass up on.
Plus, he's got a great relationship with Chris Jericho. So it's, I think strong probability that we'll see Kevin Owens on AEW. It's exciting, man. I'm not, as much as you and I say the roster's too big, it's creating a problem. It's still really exciting. Right. It's a really fun time to be a wrestling fan. It does feel like old school WCW where Ted Turner was just like, get him, bring him in.
You know what? Scoop him on in. On in.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So it's starting to feel like that, which is a lot of fun. I think it creates logistic nightmares, but I think that you can work around it.
You can. So, I think it, like I say, go by the volleyball philosophy where you keep your core players. Obviously, it's not like perfect to a T, but like you keep your star players, but then you rotate the rest of them through. Like, and here you go. That person's quote unquote leaving the territory, and then he can come back. He or she can come back around again.
Right. Nesha says, but what happened with WCW? The AOL Time Warner merger happened. I really think that that's actually the crux of it. I mean, not gonna lie, the product was starting to become a bummer, but yeah, it was really the AOL Time Warner merger.
And you didn't have wrestling minds that were like up and Turner basically at that point either, and like they were fighting an uphill battle. So, and just a lot of fractured stuff, a lot of different issues with WCW that AEW does not have. So,
Jason brings up a point here, and I think we should touch on it. Ted Turner brought in more star-studded people from WWE. I don't consider these guys to be star-studded. So I think it brings up a point of, do you think that kids today look at WWE stars or AEW stars for that matter as being like the way that you and I looked at like the Ultimate Warrior or Hulk Hogan or the Big Boss Man back in the day? Do you think the kids see them in that same light?
I think kids do, but I also don't think the audience isn't as big. It's just that's the fact. That's the nature of it, and like the popularity isn't as strong. Now it's like we're seeing it on an upward trend, and there's like some actual real good buzz going on with pro wrestling. And so it's a very in a positive direction, but obviously you don't have like a Hulk Hogan. You don't have like a Rock or an Austin to that level. And that's hard to get to. So, but you have these big names that are like the ones, Marcus, you and I like a Hall and Nash, where you have like names that are intriguing, like, Bryan Danielson and CM Punk, and, you're working on getting Kenny Omega to that level. From a WWE perspective, you have Roman Reigns, obviously not to a level of an Austin or a Rock or even a Cena, but like I really think you can put Cena and CM Punk or Bryan Danielson on the same level as one another.
And, like, as you and I have discussed, even early on in this podcast, like the way for AEW to compete and win ultimately against WWE is what they're doing, and it's working, which is like the Hall and Nash formula. You bring in stars that people care about and that have a bunch of name and brand equity. And then all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, that guy that I loved, let's say that you were a fan back when it was Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho in WrestleMania, where you're just like, oh, that was such a fun time in wrestling. They should have been the semi-main event. Like what happened to Kevin Owens? I never see him anymore. Where's Chris Jericho? Then all of a sudden you hear like, oh wait, Kevin Owens went over to the competition. I wonder what's going on over there.
What's Bryan Danielson doing over at that new promotion?
Right.
Wow.
Oh man, CM Punk, I haven't seen him since 2014. I wonder what this new promotion is. So like all of a sudden you just create all this buzz and people are like, all right, I just want to see what this program's about. And then next thing you know, you've hooked a new audience member. So really it's smart. It's kind of the only way to go about it. I think that you have to figure out the logistics of it. As far as like when you're booking people. And honestly, it should be 1 week on, 1 week off for some of the talent. where it's like we'll see Cody Rhodes on an A week, and then we'll see Kenny Omega on a B week. You know what I mean? So like I think that people, right? It's got to
have them on every week.
No, don't have to, and it builds anticipation.
Yes, and so Booker T made a really good point too on his podcast, the Hall of Fame I was transcribing, and he was like, we didn't even talk about this, Marcus, and we can kind of tie this all in together. But let me start with this first, what I was getting at. Booker T said that a lot of these fans today, like new fans, they're going to get connected to wrestling just by first watching AEW, not WWE anymore. Like, you're going to get a new fan base that's going to get started off being introduced to wrestling by like a Darby Allin and Sting together. Or like you're going to get introduced to, with Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus and then Jurassic Express. It's a whole new audience and a new product that don't have those ties. Because I mentioned this on the Wednesday episode, Marcus, was like over 20 years WCW has been gone. But so a lot of these new WWE fans, you see a lot of these WWE stands online that are just like, they'll defend WWE through thick and thin, like, and everything like that. But that's literally like basically the only wrestling product they've known, like, is what WWE has presented to them. So there's nothing for them to kind of be like, okay, well, this is how wrestling was when I just, like, me and you watched wrestling because we liked who we liked and we liked what was good. Now, like, there's like a weird sense of brand loyalty that you might not necessarily like fault those fans for thinking, but it's still a weird dynamic that, like, heck, WWE's created this identity, this weird Orwellian identity that's like, oh, let's get tied into that. And that's how sports entertainment is done. So
I remember around like 99, 2000, you and I were huge WCW fans, but the product wasn't good.
And we switched over to WWE quite a bit.
So we were watching more and more WWE, and now it's really, I just like good wrestling, and I'm still that way. Uh-huh. So like if WWE all of a sudden starts to take like an upturn and like they become entertaining and just take the necessary steps to get back to where they were, I'll watch it.
Yeah,
I want it to be good.
Yeah,
it's just not right now.
Now SmackDown was pretty good, I will say that, but.
So maybe they're bouncing back.
That's one shot. That's it. So and Mick Foley. So Marcus, did you see this? The Mick Foley stuff.
I've heard about it.
So he did a video. WWE, we have a problem, and basically says WWE is no longer the company that wrestlers aspire to go to anymore, and saying like AEW has done all this stuff, and like this was after All Out. He made these comments on Facebook and stuff like that, and Mick Foley is the type of guy, obviously a legend. Obviously knows the business in and out. So damn smart. So damn
let me say this: Mick Foley, more than The Rock, more than Stone Cold in that era, 99 to 2000, when you and I started switching the channel to WWF. That's why, for me, I wanted to see what Mick Foley was doing. I thought he was great. I thought he was super entertaining. He was my favorite guy.
Yeah. And yeah. Marcus, it was like for me too. I grew to like Stone Cold as I grew older, like, and appreciate what he did as I grew older. But our two guys was like for WWE, and like you can even throw Ken Shamrock in there for me. Was like The Rock, Ken Shamrock, and Mick Foley basically. Like those were the guys that were like, hey, that's why I can switch over from Nitro to WWE, is because of those three for me at least.
Right. Oh man, Mick was incredibly entertaining.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Him
we
going,
digress.
Yeah, him going and saying that stuff, that's important information for WWE. Like, if Mick Foley's saying that stuff where he's been, like, pretty darn loyal to your company and, like, has said, done the right things and played ball, basically, but still kept true to himself at the same time, I mean, you better be raising your eyebrows and taking note if Mick Foley's saying that stuff. And, like, maybe SmackDown might be an indication of that. But that could just be a big one-off too. Who knows? And Booker T was like, it was with Mick 100%. But these guys have a cachet where they should be allowed to say this kind of stuff because they've earned it. You know what I mean? So, what do you think more on that? Do you want to elaborate a little bit more?
Yeah, well, he hit the nail on the head, and I don't think WWE wants to hear it. Because I think that they still view themselves in that untouchable light. But it's true. They're not what they used to be. Not nearly as entertaining. They're way too structured. They're more focused on being a television program than they are on being a wrestling program, and it shows. And so like then you've got it's or AEW. It reminds me of like that meme of like Squidward looking out the window and like seeing everybody having fun, and he's not. Like that's kind of how it's got to feel to be in WWE right now, where it's like these guys are getting good money. They're probably working less days, it appears. It seems like an easier travel schedule, and also they get a little bit more creative freedom. So like these guys, it's like a wrestling utopia.
Not a little bit more, a lot more.
Yeah, way more creative freedom. So
Yeah.
like it's like a wrestling utopia over there. And like like people fumble the ball here and there. Like there's promos where like it seems like somebody kind of gets lost in what they're saying, and the promo doesn't turn out great. But guess what? That shit was happening all the time back in like the 90s in WWE, WCW, and it's kind of fun because it's live TV. It shouldn't be perfect. You shouldn't nail it every single time. I don't want to see it perfect. I want to see the seams. I want to see what's going on back there. I want to see somebody try to recover if they're having a bad promo. I want to see somebody say something hilarious off the cuff, that just comes to them like The Rock.
Then that's how you got Austin 316.
Yep. And so the formula that created all the success that WWE had in the first place, The Rock, just like talking about what The Rock is cooking and stuff like that, and Stone Cold, all this off the cuff stuff that these guys are saying, it's not a thing anymore. It's all manufactured.
You won't get a Rock in WWE.
You won't get it. You won't get it. So it's all the stuff that made them successful they did away with, and now there's AEW, and they're like they're encouraging people to do that stuff. So yeah, I think WWE needs a little wake up call, and I hope they get it because you certainly see potential in some of the talent that they've got over there.
Yeah, and the reports are that WWE's not very happy with Floyd saying that.
I don't imagine. But
and if you're not happy with it, do something about it.
Sometimes the truth hurts.
Truth hurts, buddy. Tough love. Tough love Mick is giving to you.
Dom, let's wrap up the program. It's been an hour.
Let's see. Okay, well, let's try to touch upon some important aspects that we did miss. Let's see. We talked about that. Overall, Mark, let's just get your take on this. Ruby Soho as a presentation. We saw her debut her match on Dynamite, and then we saw her on Rampage in the triple threat match. How do you feel about her so far?
I think she's great. Fits like a glove. She's got a different look than anybody. She appears to have a different wrestling style than anybody that's on the roster right now. She looks like she's on the verge of like stiff, very realistic looking, and I like it. I think that she looks like $1 million. So yeah, a great get for that women's division. Already the strongest women's division in wrestling. And they just got even stronger. So it's fun to watch.
I agree with you. And I love her finisher. It's simple. It's just a Pele kick, but it's impactful,
I'll tell you what, Muhammad with a wild idea over there. He's like channeling some Da Vinci Code shit. He's saying Miro drops the belt to Eddie, and then he starts like giving himself the lashings.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Yeah. That's kind of wild.
Going straight up Da Vinci.
I don't know. You're kind of flying a little too close to the sun with that one.
I don't know if that's.
I don't think that would really like. I understand where you're going at, and but I know Marcus and I with the Catholic guilt will. There's a little bit of like, okay, that's probably not going to be attainable for an audience, a mass audience that you want to.
I think. I think it's a wild idea, and it could be entertaining. However, I would say what I've been saying, which is like rather than looking at Eddie Kingston in that light, I think that everybody needs to start viewing him as a modern day Goldberg who is a better worker and is a better talker. That's really what he is, and it's how he should be booked. Really, this just absolutely unstoppable heel force, where it's like, who is finally?
Oh, you mean Miro?
Yeah. I'm sorry, Miro. Who did I say?
You said Eddie.
Oh, okay, no, that's how Miro needs to be booked. Yeah. Friend of the show, Eddie Kingston. But no, that's how Miro needs to be booked, as this unstoppable force, where it's like I want him to be a champion for so long that everybody's like, when is somebody going to take the fucking belt off this guy? So that's the sort of vibe that you need with him.
Marcus, I think that was a great follow-up too from after the pay-per-view. Like, I love the match that they did at All Out. That was the only match, to be honest, that I've seen via television. Like, I went back and watched. I was going to watch all of All Out. So I haven't seen the Punk match, how it was portrayed on TV. I haven't seen anything but the Eddie Kingston and Miro match via television on All Out. And I thought it was such a good match, such a great story told. Eddie fighting through what does he call his game over? Is that what he calls
I believe so, yes.
So Eddie gets out of that, and then just a good story told, and then the follow-up promos that was the next night on Dynamite, or on Wednesday on Dynamite, were really well done. And
I love Miro saying your nuts have been redeemed.
Yeah.
Which was just,
and then he's like, I'm gonna present your bones to my bride and your soul to my God. Like, whoa, damn.
he's awesome, dude. So it's like, I'm telling you, he's a heel Goldberg with like a completely different flavor, better on the mic, better worker, and like unbelievably.
And we're Goldberg guys. We're huge.
Yes,
Goldberg guys.
I love Goldberg, but like he could really take this thing to the next level. I see serious box office in him. And somebody's saying up here, who was it? Steven Chambers is saying, I want to see Mox versus Miro. Me too, but I want to see Miro beat him.
Yeah, I want to see.
I want to see CM Punk versus Miro, and I want to see Miro beat him.
No,
I want to
come on, Mark.
Wait a minute. After Punk has got to lose eventually,
well, yeah.
and he should lose to somebody like Miro. I want to see Miro just going over against everybody who he shouldn't be going over against until again we get to that point where we're like, who in the fuck is going to beat this guy? And then when somebody does, I mean, fireworks, confetti. It's like it's huge news when somebody finally beats him.
Jungle Boy.
That sure. If you want to build Jungle Boy, absolutely. Whoever you do it with, you'll get him over huge.
I'm kind of with Nesha though, and that's let Eddie beat Miro.
Completely, strongly disagree. I love Eddie.
Imagine that pop you get in New York City. Well, they're not going to do it now because Marcus, you didn't hear this too on the tapings. Eddie challenged Minoru Suzuki and Lance Archer to a tag match at Arthur Ashe Stadium. So that's where it's going to be headed. So.
Who is?
So it looks like it's going to be Eddie Kingston and friend of the show and Jon Moxley versus Lance Archer and Minoru Suzuki.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that main event, by the way, and then we got to wrap this thing up, Dom.
Okay, we got a couple more shots, but we'll hammer through them. But go ahead.
All right, Mox and who was the gentleman he was against?
Minoru Suzuki.
Minoru Suzuki, of course. Sorry, you just said his name. A very stiff match. They were working strong style.
Really?
For sure. Yes. It started to get like Fit Finley versus like with Steven Regal vibes, where they were just like, all right, let's just fucking fight, and they did.
Yeah.
And it was entertaining. Like it was a cool main event, but holy smokes.
Minero's eye, man. Whoa, dang.
Yeah, he caught one pretty good there.
Yep.
So yeah, it was a good main event. I think that it like is more of a brawl. It's certainly not like the style that we're used to seeing on AEW, but there's value in it.
Nesha doesn't want us to end the show, by the way.
Apologies, Nesha, but come on now, an hour. We're gonna get that other girl on here at some point. And she's gonna be like, "When the fuck is this going to end?"
Tammy's gonna be like, "Hey, what's happening?"
one of my favorite moments in show history is Tammy like, "Are you guys gonna wrap this fucking thing up?
Are you done yet? Where do you gotta be, Tammy?" Yeah, no, I thought it was good too. Mox, hometown pop. Minoru, they've had a legacy or a history together in New Japan. So really good way to cap off the Cincinnati show. Yeah, I liked it. And I think anytime you're going to get Lance Archer in the mix, I'm all for. So having them in a tag match at Arthur Ashe Stadium on a big stage like that, I think is going to be very cool. And so, yeah. So a couple things. What I just wanted to cover, Marcus, we didn't talk about this, and this was one of my favorite moments of the whole fucking show on Dynamite was Adam Cole talking to Tony Schiavone.
Yes, you need to talk about Adam Cole real quick.
The dirtbag boyfriend of like, hey, yeah, people love me, Adam Cole, baby. Hey, listen up, Tony. Don't you fucking talk to my girlfriend ever like that again. I don't want you even looking at her. Do you understand? Like,
yes.
Good shit. Like immediately heel heat. Like, Man, so great. I'm pumped for Adam Cole.
It's funny because we've all met people who are like that too.
Yeah.
Where they're just like, hey, I keep seeing you look at my girlfriend.
If I remember correctly, I think high school douchebag Marcus was kind of like that. Was he not?
That's an absurd allegation.
Was he not like that, Marcus?
I was not. That's a ridiculous allegation. No, please. You're thinking of our other brother Luke.
I don't think so.
One of the things.
I don't think so.
One of the things though that I did want to talk about when it comes to Adam Cole is I can see why Shawn Michaels liked him so much and wanted him to stay in NXT, because like it kind of, if you take a hard look at it, he is very much Shawn Michaels. He's like this good looking dude. He's like smaller frame, super good worker, very good talker. And it's like he checks every single box, and I'm like, it's no wonder Shawn Michaels loved this guy. He's perfect. Like I said before when it sounded like he was going to be coming up, like when his contract was coming up, I was like, they need to just give this guy all the money, bring him in, and I'm glad that they did. I see a ton of value in Adam Cole, and I think he's going to be a big star in AEW.
Heck yeah, Marcus. Did you see the report too of what the plans were for him in WWE?
No, what were they?
You didn't hear this? So obviously Vince had that big meeting with him, blah, 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 and all that stuff. And then, so the report is by Dave Meltzer is that the plans for Adam Cole was Keith Lee would turn heel and Adam Cole would be his manager and not a wrestler on the main roster.
What in the world? What in the world?
Yes. So, like Roddy Piper was almost put in the same position, like to be a manager, right? There was somebody else that they were going to do that with too. But listen, that's just bad. And like
Vince just doesn't like him because of his size.
It's out because of his size, but it speaks to your point too, how Shawn Michaels sees a lot in himself. But Vince McMahon didn't see a lot like that in Adam Cole. It just shows you how disjointed or connected Vince is to what wrestling is right now and how it should be presented, because he's got his own way. He did not create Adam Cole created Adam Cole first and foremost, but probably in Vince's mind, maybe this is just speculative, obviously, but maybe he envisions, hey, this is a Triple H and Shawn Michaels guy. This is not a Vince McMahon guy. So I'm not going to push him. Or like he refuses to see any value in him, where there's like immense value in Adam Cole. And this is an aside, but today I wrote about Adam Cole and what he said on his Twitch channel today. And obviously he's a heel right now and everything like that, but he genuinely loves his fans. Like his Twitch channel, he gets so much happiness out of that Twitch channel, and he's so grateful to those fans. It was really, really neat to see, and so damn fucking heartwarming to see how he handled his fans on Twitch. Like it was a really cool experience to check out. And so, like, to not want to put your chips behind somebody like Adam Cole is just ignorant and naive, basically.
Yes, it is. Because it took me, like, I've seen his work before. I haven't really seen much of him on the mic, to be honest, up to this point. But now that I have, it's like it took me about the length of his promo to make my assessment, where I'm just like, this dude is it. Like I see why the fans love him so much. I see why Shawn Michaels loves him so much. Why Triple H was a huge fan. Like there is a ton of value in Adam Cole. And it's just a matter of somebody bringing it out of him. It sounds like AEW is the place to do it.
As that, what's just Brian said. Brian Madlinger says,
Brian,
AEW is the place to be. He really just wrote that. Our best to Triple H too. Did you hear about him, Marcus?
Yeah, I heard he had a cardiac issue. Had to go to Yale and have some kind of a procedure done. So yeah, glad that he's in recovery and doing well.
Absolutely. Okay, this is how we'll close it out, Marcus. I gave my MVP because I had an earlier show on Wednesday night. If you guys want to check that out, and I gave my overall assessment of Dynamite, kind of a little bit in the experience of the Chicago weekend in Chicago, live weekend in Chicago. But my MVP, Marcus, hands down, Brian Pillman Jr. He takes the cake this week for me.
Wow. All right. Yeah, I've got to go with Powerhouse Hobbs, man. He was a lot of fun. Very fun, very entertaining. Much like Adam Cole, see huge potential in him. So yeah, what a cool, fun time to be a wrestling fan, and particularly an AEW fan.
Absolutely. I can't wait till they release that Brian Pillman figure in the Cincinnati Bengals. Like, attire. I think that was badass. I thought he did such a great job on the mic, like babyface, hometown hero promo kind of thing. And then just even his body language when he came out for the match against Max Caster, your boy Max Caster. I thought was really, really cool to see. Like he was, and just if you watch Dark Side of the Ring and seeing how the tragedy that his family went through and all that stuff, and how his aunt brought everybody together, seeing all of them together at ringside, and Pillman being able to embrace them all. And
Dominic Bryan again on the same page with us. He said Dark Side of the Ring is awesome too.
Yeah.
So Bryan with some ESP over there,
right? But just such a great moment that like really was wonderful to see, and a happy belated birthday to Brian Pillman Jr. as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And he just welcomed a nephew into the world, I believe, on his birthday. I think
it was a day after. I know
might have been the day after,
the day of.
But in any case, big weekend, big week for him. So couldn't be happier for him. And yeah, we've been saying from the start, I think he's great. I see a ton of value in him. Great worker, great look, great on the mic. So man, what a fun time to be an AEW fan.
Very fun time. MJF really brought the heat in his comments too. Holy smokes. Jeez.
Yes, he did. He's tremendous. He knows his role. He knows who he's playing to or playing against, and he leverages it very well.
Asks real quick, Marcus, how can we rebuild Brian Cage? I have my idea, but go ahead with yours.
My idea is one that I mentioned on here before. He was trained by Chris Kanyon, and for a while in the Indies, he took up Canyon's Mortis gimmick. So he was the new Mortis, like this tall, like this shorter, jacked up, super ripped Mortis under the hood. And so I think that the way to rebuild him is you bring him out on Dynamite sometime in the near future and have him take another loss and kind of have him snap a little bit, and maybe bring him in occasionally as Mortis.
So like Finn Balor Demon-esque, what we kind of talked about.
In much the same realm, yes.
I think you can tag team him with a monster tag team with Lance Archer and really get the wheels turning there too. And you can even incorporate the Mortis gimmick with that too if you'd like. But yeah, I think that would be a good way to handle it.
Yeah, and a cool way to honor the memory of Chris Kanyon.
Absolutely. Okay, my battery here is dying, so I guess that's a pretty good.
Oh boy, that's our cue to wrap this thing.
Mark, did you want to talk anything about Top Guy Weekend at all? Plug in anything what happened?
No, I don't really know that that's necessary. I think that the idea is it was a fun time. I think that the way to find out is get over to adfreeshows.com and become a member there, because I mean if you're not experiencing some of this exclusive content and exclusive live experiences, you're really missing out. But yeah, it was a great time. It looks like we may have lost Dominic, so I will wrap up the show. I'm not sure if I'm even.
Can you see me?
Hey, I cannot see. Oh, there you are. Okay. In any case, you can follow me at Marcus P. D'Angelo on Twitter. You can follow this podcast at 2 Dynamite Dudes on Twitter. Dominic, how do they follow you? How do they follow WrestleZone?
Yeah, if you can see me and hear me, you can follow me on Twitter at Dominic D'Angelo. You can follow WrestleZone on Twitter at WrestleZone.com. Go to WrestleZone.com for all your WrestleZone needs. Check out some of the stuff that I got to write this week. I was in the scrums live at All Out. Got to ask CM Punk a question about Terry Funk, my boy Terry Funk, and his boy Terry Funk, and CM Punk gave a great response. I asked Adam Cole a great question too. I asked everybody great questions. Lucha Brothers, Bryan Danielson, I talked about his love for books and stuff like that, and so he kind of elaborated how AEW gives you more authenticity, can give you more authenticity, allows for more of that. So check that out. Those are all up on YouTube. There's transcriptions of it on WrestleZone.com right now at pretty much on the main areas of the page. So take a look at all of those. And we have an interview coming up too. Who was it with? Somebody from ROH. So check that out. But otherwise, yes, what a fun week in wrestling. What a fun time to be a part of wrestling. I'm super duper blessed to be able to do this with you guys and interact with you guys, and I really appreciate everybody chiming in and giving their opinions and stuff like that, and all the regulars and new people showing up. Honestly, it's been so fun. Stephen, thank you for the great show and everybody, and Nesha, as always. Mohammed, thanks for chiming in for the first time too. Nesha gives Ruby an MVP. That's a good one too. But yeah, thank you. Marcus, anything else you want to say before we close this puppy out?
Yeah, I'm giving the program an 8.6, Dominic, a really high score for me. Yeah, it's a great program. I want to see them continue the momentum. As Eric Bischoff says, somewhat it's difficult to get momentum, even more difficult to maintain momentum. So they've just got to keep firing away, keep on giving good content. I don't know that they necessarily need to be bringing out new talent, once a month in order to give us good content. It doesn't hurt, but they don't need it. They just need good, solid stories that make sense, clear-cut bad guys and good guys, and they're going to be fine. And
there's some good scenes showing where it's like, hey, we're going to get a little bit of different products on every episode, because not only do you have Rampage, that's its own unique, quick, fast-paced kind of show, but then you have these studio shows that a different look for AEW Dark, a different look for AEW Dark Elevation and stuff like that. So there's opportunities to make the most of those. So
no question. So guys, enjoy it. Enjoy wrestling. It's a really fun time. And thanks for enjoying the show with us. We'll catch you guys next week right here on Two Dynamite Dudes on a Rampage.
See you guys.
Thanks.